And welcome back to Batgirl. My name is Brittany, and today we are doing a video after a very long hiatus. So since my last video, I have continued with my uni studies, had two different jobs in the film industry down the Gold Coast, one on Rock Island Mysteries and the next on Irreverent. So Rock Island is out, go check it out. And since coming home, I've just been having a break, ready to get back into my studies and watching Miss Marvel. Spoilers ahead. I'm so out of practice I forgot to do a story overview. Miss Marvel is an origin story that follows Kamala, who discovers she has abilities when she wears a family bracelet. Across the series, she learns how to use these powers to save people and also learn about her family history. But all the while, there are some very bad people who are after these powers, and she has to defend herself and her friends. Before we jump into it, I want to asterisk this because although I read a lot of Batgirl and I have a fair few DC comic books, I don't really read that much Marvel, and the reason why I do that now is although I'm very fascinated by the movies and the media that is coming out, I really want to experience comic books but not from a comic book fan perspective. I want to go into these movies and see, okay, I do maybe have a very basic understanding of the character. Do I understand this media from an outsider's perspective? And this really comes into play with Miss Marvel. Going into it, I thought her powers were too stretched, almost like Mr. Fantastic. Obviously, completely wrong. And although they don't fully explain her powers, because it's an origin story, they're not going to fully understand them yet. It's this beautiful crystallization, like this extension and magic of what she can do with her body, like growing, stretching her hands out, making these beautiful steps for her. And I have to really say that they've incorporated this beautifully and had this amazing, unique style of having her go across New York City. It's not Spider-Man, it's not Daredevil. She's created this unique unison of both of these. She's able to parkour across these different pipes and windowsills and rooftops. But then also, like Spider-Man, she's in the street, she's above the stoplights, and it's visually beautiful and dynamic, and it's really captivating. And although it takes a while to get there, when they finally have her discover her powers and be able to do this, it's just beautiful. It's amazing. It's this great aesthetic that they've really tied in to the rest of the series. They've been able to build up to it into the final two episodes to show that she's able to maneuver in this beautiful, unique way, while also having this aesthetic all the way through of these beautiful pops of neon color. But more importantly, they've married the pops of neon color of this New York youth graffiti, again, neon lights, scrawling artwork, text messages, like these. It's almost like you can imagine a Pinterest board of all these things, and they've married it with her culture. And again, I am just as naive going into her culture as I am going into her superpowers, and being introduced to the atrocities that happened that forced all these people to flee from India to Pakistan, and tying that in is absolutely gorgeous. And I feel they've done it in a respectful way, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it was so good to see that, in a sense that these are stories that need to be told. These are forgotten histories that we've looked over because we're too busy looking at stories from our own perspective. I want more of this. I want to see more of Miss Marvel and Kamala. I think each of the characters have been cast beautifully. I can't compare them with the comics, but they definitely have this warmth and heart that just want to draw me in. Pairing well with its aesthetics, it really knows who its audience is and drives that home with the stylized, the pacing, the delivery of a lot of the things. It's not going to be Captain America Civil War. It's not going to be Loki. And although it has those Marvel elements in it, it's designed for the next generation of Marvel fans. And when you sit there and you look at it from the perspective of young adults who are in the same age group as Spider-Man, you can really see how this falls into place. And when you tie this into the young adult films that Marvel is coming out with, or even the young adult series, you can really see that it's created a wide range of media to be as encompassing as it can be for its audience. In this current phase of Marvel, they have been very clever in how they've directed each series and piece of media towards a somewhat subcategory of fan group, And that's perfect. Like, they need to do that. We need more media to cover the diversity of the fan base. The story is well paced in how it builds up into that beautiful finale and that strength. The only asterisk I will put there is that sometimes it's a very much and then scene. At the very end, all of a sudden, Zoe, who was saved fairly early on in the series, shows up to join the gang. And the intention is there. The character would absolutely do that. That makes sense. The lack of her presence beforehand in the building up to it, in any sort of reference to her knowing who Kamala is, knowing who Miss Marvel is, it's not shown, it's empty. However, the trade-off is worthwhile because they are focusing on Kamala's adventure to Pakistan and seeing her family heritage. So although there are scenes that you can see, okay, it's missing something to tie it all the way through, that you can see that there are reasons for it, and it's one of those trade-offs that's forgivable. The biggest thing I want to point out here is how excited I got at the end because Bruno is chatting to Kamala and he's like, your DNA is different. It's like a mutation. And there is a definite motif from the X-Men theme.
Kamala, there's something different in your genes. Like a mutation.
It's just perfect. And it makes me so excited to see the director's future works. The director, Adil Al-Arbi, is actually working on Batgirl as well. Now, there is a very specific Batgirl I am praying to come from this man, and that is Batgirl of Burnside. It has a very similar aesthetic, it has a very similar audience base, and understandably there has been pushback into this reinvention of Batgirl in how she's not Oracle. They've completely taken away this character development of Barbara Gordon, but in creating this Batgirl of Burnside, they have allowed for a new wave of fans to come into comics. So there is a place for Batgirl of Burnside. So long story short, I just really hope that Adil Al-Arbi directs a Batgirl film that is based on Babs Tarr's art from Batgirl of Burnside. Because let me just show you real quick. Okay. We already know that her suit is very similar to this style of the motorcycle jacket. There are differences, there are absolutely differences. I'm pretty sure her belt's black instead. But when you look at the art in this is his style. This is exactly what I saw in Miss Marvel. It's him. And like, to see him doing this, let's try and get, this is him. It's just so good. So if he directs the Batgirl film to this aesthetic, to the same aesthetic as Miss Marvel, yes, it's not going to be the gritty Barbara Gordon that we know from the Birds of Prey. And that's okay. There's a multiverse for a reason. This is what I want to see in the next Batgirl film, because I feel like Adil will just nail it. There has been a lot of pushback on this film. I saw that it got 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb, and I don't believe that is justified. Because when you look at this sort of series, you got to really consider the target audience. And who is this actually made for? It was great. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I will always be strict with my number scoring because I always know that there is room for improvement, as I said, with the asterisks of the story. But there is so much good in it, it does not deserve a 6.1, and it's probably closer to an 8. In fact, 8.5. That is high praise from me. With that said, we gotta love a high school coming of age superpower origin film. So if you were to have a story like this, what would your superpower be? With that said, thank you so much for watching. My name is Brittany and you have been watching Batgirl. I am out of practice. You have been watching Britgirl. That's Batgirl. You've never seen me and her in the same room at the same time though, have ya?